Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Season 4 of the Ray Esports Racing League presented by Spec Racer Sports, Alliance Autosport, and RaceVoice here on Apex Racing TV. It's a new season, and with it brings change. First, we say goodbye to Formula V and hello to a new Formula class, RE2, which will be joining the Ray Esports stalwart Spec Racer Ford and Mazda MX-5s over the course of our 9-week season, and then the winner take-all runoffs. And second, please give a warm welcome to new sponsor, Spec Racer Sports. We want to definitely welcome them to the Ray Esports family. And speaking of warm welcomes, let's also welcome Tim Cox to the commentary booth. Tim is filling in tonight for Brian Donati, who's under the weather. But we've got a little stability here this evening as the guiding hand of Dennis Branch, as always, is in the virtual production truck, and he's bringing you all the best angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. So Tim, first off, welcome to Watkins Glen and welcome to the Ray Esports Racing League.
Thank you very much. Really happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to a night of, I'm sure, what's going to be wheel-to-wheel action and up and down the field.
Yeah, and we've got a great field tonight for our first of two sprint races, first of our two 20-minute races, what we call RE2. Actually, the USF 2000 cars are being used this year in the Ray Esports Racing League. And as I mentioned, we're here at Watkins Glen, and this is our second week of the season. Last week, we kicked off Season 4 at Road America with the Spec Racer Fords and these RE2s, and we saw not only the tight, close racing that we normally witness here in Ray Esports and what Ray Esports Racing League is known for, but also some battles between teammates that we might not have expected. And I think you're going to be in for a huge surprise here, Tim. Of course, Tim, everybody very very accomplished announcer here for Apex Racing TV and a number of other broadcasting channels, and so we're very lucky to have him here. But also want to wish Brian Donati well, and hopefully he heals up soon enough. Hopefully he'll be back with us next week when we head to Barber Motorsports Park. But as always, what we do here, we've got 2 races. We've got a 15-minute qualifying session, and we're in the middle of qualifying right now. Actually, we're about 8 minutes into qualifying for our RE2s, and we realize that we're having a few issues tonight with some of the overlays on the screen, like our timing tower. So let me give you a quick rundown of where we are right now on track, as we are just about 8.5 minutes into this 15-minute open qualifying session. Morgan Burkhardt, currently your provisional pole sitter with a fast time. Well, let's change that up. Tyler Campbell in the number 37 machine. He is your provisional pole sitter now with a fast lap of 147.37. Morgan Burkhardt, his teammate from the All Sports Racing team, in the number 40 machine, second right now with a 148.3. Then Caleb Patry in the number 98 machine at a 148.91. Zach Burke, who finished third in class last week at Road America, he is currently sitting with a 147.91, and Jamison Huffman with a 147.82. So all very closely aligned here up at the top of the field. We do have 30 cars on track here, and of course this will be the second outing for the RE2s this season. Each one of our classes, although there are 9 weeks to the season, each of our classes, they will go on track 6 times over the course of the season. This is the second outing for the RE2s, as I mentioned, and a little bit later tonight we'll have the Mazda MX-5s joining us. The Spec Racer Fords, they're going to be taking the week off. They'll be joining us in 2 weeks when we head down to Road Atlanta. But Tim, as we have these drivers out on course, I wanted to very quickly jump back and give a little bit of a recap of week 1. We're going to do it very, very quickly here, where Caleb Patry, who is now sitting 4th in qualifying, took the win from his teammate Jamison Huffman. Margin of victory about half a second, 0.49 seconds. Morgan Burkhardt, who was our pole sitter, was tapped, went around, spun coming out of turn number 7, and he finished a distant 10th. But it was a great run throughout the field. Zach Burke finished down in 4th position, a distant 4th, along with John Vogel. Both of those drivers making their way up through the field. As we mentioned, Zach Burke right now is actually up to 3rd in qualifying. John Vogel currently sitting in 8th. But I think, Tim, this what we're seeing here also this week with 30 cars, much larger field than we saw at Road America, we have, I think by my last count, somewhere along the lines of 7 new drivers that not only did not race with us at Road America, but have not raced with the Ray Esports Racing League before. So want to welcome the number 6 car, Andrew Lewis, Colin Crocker, Justin Craig, Brandon Abbott, the number 26 machine, who you see there on track, has raced with us before. I believe we've got both Brandon and might also have Andrew Abbott, his brother, here. We'll have to take a look there. The 25 machine, yeah, there they are. Andrew Abbott and Brandon Abbott finished 3rd and 4th at the National Championship runoffs in Formula V earlier this year at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So good to see them out here again with us. We've also got David Stern out of the Washington, D.C. region of the SCCA, Gary Winters, as well as John Wilson. So I want to welcome all of our new drivers to the Ray Esports Racing League here. Tim.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to a few drivers who are keeping half an eye on during practice. One of them being Patry, who you've already mentioned. Also, Zach Burke, our lone Canadian in the race, yes, and our only non-American driver. So, as a Brits, we love an underdog. We love someone who's a bit unique. So, it's one driver looking to keep an eye on tonight. Also, well mentioned at the moment is Carl Valejos at the moment. Quite a low rating driver in terms of his IR. However, is currently 12th. In qualification as it stands at the moment. It's an absolutely stunning performance from Kyle right now. We're looking to see if he can hold on to that place as qualifying progresses. We've got about 2.5 minutes left, so not long left to go. I can see Burke and Campbell, they're in the pits right now, so not got long. They need to get a bit of a wiggle on if they want to get out on track and try and get in another fast time.
Yeah, another driver joining us here this evening. He's driving the, I believe it's the number 200 car. That is Austin Knight, another one of our announcers here on Apex Racing TV. And did not have the best of weeks last week at Road America. Was spun out coming out of turn number 1 on the opening lap, and that was his race in RE2. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more from him this evening. But interesting to note, and we'll have to track and see if this is the case here for this session as well, but the practice session that our drivers were just in before qualifying, they were reporting winds going down the back straight here of up to 17 miles an hour. So quite hefty, that could certainly go and create problems for some of these drivers as they head on course. Again, these cars, certainly not as affected by the wind as maybe the small Formula Vs were last season, but they are affected by them nonetheless.
Yeah, I took the car out a little bit earlier on around Watkins Glen, and oh my golly, it's a little bit of a tricky one, especially running obviously with the bus stop chicane down the end of the back straight tonight, which does hamper progress somewhat compared to going straight on and then coming round the outer loop, or the carousel as it's sometimes known. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the drivers handle it. I'm sure we're bound to see plenty of action into the bus stop and also into the heel as well. Normally a really good overtaking spot, as well as the 90, the first corner. So I'm sure we're not going to be short on action whatsoever, especially with such a large grid here at Watkins.
That's right. Of course, as we've mentioned so many times before here on the Esports Racing League, when we've raced here, and this is the third time we've returned to Watkins Glen in 4 seasons. This is a track that really promotes speed. You've got a lot of very heavily cambered corners, but in many cases, Tim, the straightaways, they're not so long enough that you can use that draft to draft by, easily make a pass, as it looks like we now have the checkered flag out on the session, and we'll run down the starting grid here in just a few moments. But certainly there are areas, as you mentioned, like the 90, which can get very wide on exit. They've got the asphalt there on the runoff, what used to be gravel trap there years ago. It was changed when NASCAR started coming to Watkins Glen, but also the bus stop, that run down the back straight. If you can set up and get to the inside, it is definitely a great passing opportunity here. It's easy to be fast here, but that's always the challenge, is to be able to step out into maybe step out of the dirty air and actually draft past somebody is definitely very difficult, because those straightaways just aren't quite long enough for the drivers here. So it should be a great challenge as we get ready to run down the starting grid here. And when we do, wanted to mention that here for season 4, and we're going to talk about the great sponsors for each one of our classes here, but I wanted to mention the Excellent Driver Award that we're going to be handing out for the first time here in season 4 of the Ray Esports League. We've got trophies that are provided courtesy of the Esport Driver Club to those drivers that make it that have the least number of incident points over all 6 rounds. Actually, we're going to give them 1 race to drop in case they have 1 bad race. But certainly we're always trying to promote close but fair and safe driving and gentlemanly racing. And we want to thank the Esport Driver Club for providing that Excellent Driver Award, which we're going to be presenting in each one of our 3 Ray Esports Racing League classes. There's a little shot there, and those trophies not quite life-sized, but great to see. All right, so we're going to have the starting grid here in just a moment, Tim, and let's see, as we do, let me quickly talk about one of our great sponsors, and this is the sponsor for RE2. This is their 2nd year with us here on the Ray Sports Racing League, and it is Alliance Autosports. They're based in Columbus, Ohio, and have found success both at the club and professional levels, garnering multiple championships, including 8 SCCA National Championships, 3 SCCA Pro Racing Championships, as well as a USF 2000 National Class Championship. Alliance Autosports team members are dedicated, hardworking, and know what it takes to win. Alliance's SCCA Enterprises Great Lakes Division customer service representative for FE2, for Spec Racer 4 Gen 3, and their services include arrive and drive packages for Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 FE2, as well as Trans Am 2. They also offer customer car prep, trackside support, transportation, storage, part sales, data analysis, hospitality. Wow, what more could they do? They could also provide driver coaching and development. To join the Alliance Autosport team on the winning track, check them out at allianceautosport.com. All right, so Tim, looks like we've got our cars and our drivers lining up on the front straight for their pace lap. Why don't we run down the starting grid?
Yeah, so on pole, it's Tyler Campbell with Morgan Burkhardt alongside for company. Then it's the Canadian Zach Brown. He's on the second row of the grid with Caleb Patry for company. Moving down to the third row is Huffman with Wilson alongside. And Greg Mack is in seventh with Chula, who's just waiting to take to the grid right now in the number 11. Then on the fifth row, it's Vogel with Nichols for company to round out your top 10. And it's Abbott and Villegas in 11th and 12th. Shana Brook is 13th with Sonata alongside. Brandon Abbott's 15th with Croker in 16th. And then we've got Craig and Lewis with Huron and Huffman rounding out the top 20. Then we've got our fellow commentator here at Apex Racing TV, Austin Knight. He's in 21st with David Stern alongside him. And then it's Ryan Carter with Brockway alongside. And we've got Peter Ruffle with Casey in 25th and 26th respectively. And rounding out the last few places on the grid, we've got Buttermore and Effinger in 27th and 28th. And then 29th and 30th is Provence and Winters with Russ Lundberg rounding out your grid here at Watkins Glen.
All right, there you go. And so we're going to have our field start to make their way around this beautiful Watkins Glen International course. Of course, this is the full course with the boot and the bus stop. The track opened up, of course, in 1956, so about 65 years young now, and of course replaced the road courses that ran through the town of Watkins Glen, originally from 48 to 52. The first road courses there, it was a 6.6 mile course, Tim, and then was shortened down to 4.6 a few years later. And of course, the layout that we have now, for the most part, using the section called the boot, that was introduced back in 1971 for Formula One. And of course, Watkins Glen hosted the United States Formula One Grand Prix from 61 all the way up to 1980. And it was the first permanent home of the United States Formula One Grand Prix. Sebring and Riverside hosted it in 59 and 60, respectively. But you know, I think when everybody thinks about the heyday of Formula One and Formula One in the United States, they think of Watkins Glen. They think of the bog back behind, back off behind the bleachers, and the debauchery that went on there. And it's really. Luckily, I get to head back in real life at least once, sometimes twice a year, to call races, and sometimes lucky enough to get behind the wheel and race. And it's always one of the highlights of my year. So you know, it should be a great outing for these drivers. And you know, this track, it's got so much history, Tim.
It has. Watkins Glen, it's the spiritual home of road racing in the USA. And like you say, crowds have been flocking here since the 1940s. And it's a track where, us Europeans, we don't tend to like American tracks. We just don't seem to get on them too well. But there's a couple of exceptions to that. Daytona, of course, one of the most iconic tracks in America, being one of them that we do love. And Watkins Glen is such a driver's track. It's just fast, it's flowing, and it's always guaranteed great racing. And I'm certain that's what we're going to experience here tonight as they just head out behind the Porsche 911 safety car about halfway through the lap. And then we head out for 20 minutes of what I'm certain is going to be wheel-to-wheel racing. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the drivers handle the first couple of laps, especially where it gets really tight, Greg, as they head up through the S's and out onto the back straight. And then of course, it's going to be who could be the last of the late breakers into the inner loop. Now, one thing you were saying earlier, Greg, about in terms of, it's tricky to pass the slipstream here. As the late great Murray Walker, the British commentator, said, catching people is one thing, but passing them is something completely different. And I think it's definitely, we're going to see probably a bit of that tonight.
Yeah, I think as we've got the pace car now bringing the field out of turn 9 back out onto the original course here. I think one of the things that we're going to find, first off, as you mentioned, on lap number 1, maybe even a lap and a half into this race, is how the drivers are going to deal with cold tires. And also, the one thing about these RE2 cars is that they are very good in the draft. You don't have to hang back. You don't run off the front tires by sticking the nose right under the rear wing of the car in front of you. But now, coming out of turn 11 and heading into the pit lane is the pace car, our pole sitter Tyler Campbell. He has the field, Morgan Burkhardt right behind, and there we go. Immediately at the start of this race, we have a driver that has gone off, and that may have been Austin Knight along with Ryan Carter. But now heading down into turn 1, it's Morgan Burkhardt, the number 40 machine. He's got Tyler Campbell to the inside. He's got Caleb Patry to the 98 car to the outside, tucking in right behind him. Zach Burke in that gray number number 13 machine with the yellow helmet, as they now make their way up through the S's for the very first time. Sitting right back behind them, Jamison Huffman and Giancarlo Schooler. A lot of those all-sport racing team racers now making their way down the back straight up at the front of the field. And the first to get into the bus stop is going to be our pole sitter Tyler Campbell, the number 37 machine. Zach Burke moves up from 4th now into 2nd position. Caleb Patry sitting in 3rd. Morgan Burkhardt drops back in the 4th position. Then we've got a nice little lineup here of Giancarlo Schooler, Greg Mack, John Vogel makes a great move on Murphy Nichols, and then Andrew Abbott dropping a couple of positions, though. Brandon Abbott now sitting back in 12th.
So, Greg, we've had a big incident up through the S's. Lots of drivers involved. 10 out of the 30. So, Brockway, Rothwell, Casey, Effinger, Preventus, Austin Knight was caught up obviously in that earlier incident on the start line. I think Greg Mack was in it as well. Sean Brook, Santana, Harun, Huffman and Stern all caught up in that. We've already lost a third of the field already, and it'd be interesting to see if we can cut a replay to it. I'm sure producer Dennis is working hard to dig that out for us. Yeah,
I just got word from Dennis. We should be able to get a replay of that. And let's take a look now as they head up through the S's here and start to make their way up the hill. We can see at least one car getting a little bit loose, and I think that was Shannonbrook, but already an incident up ahead. And I believe that was, that might have been Justin Huffman in the 223 car up ahead, as well as John Cady in the 78 car. But there was already quite a bit of carnage there, Tim, just as hard as we were watching that view and watching those drivers come up to the S's. But magically, by the magic of the internet, it's completely clear now, and we've got our drivers now making their way down into the bus stop on lap number 2. Our current leader is Tyler Campbell in the number 37 machine, again with Zach Burke, Caleb Patry. Right behind Patry, we've got Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman. All of those red, white, and blue machines from the all sports racing team. Then about 10 car lengths back from there, you saw Giancarlo Schooler in the orange number 11 machine, trying to make his way back up to the pack. And then Murphy Nichols, also part of that all sports racing team, in the number 5 machine. He is sitting back in 7th. So starting to spread out just a little bit once you get past the top 4 or 5 cars, but already, Tim, unfortunate. We had that great 30-plus car field, 31 cars taking the green. A couple of them didn't make it to the green flag, and looks like we've got about a third of the field sitting in the pit lane right now.
We have, it's just seen on the screen, Burkhardt just made it past Patry there as they swap places again, and Burkhardt's off into the wall there. It's coming out.
That's coming out of turn 9. Yeah, and that's problematic. Yeah, and turn 9, come out of there, it's off camber, it's one of the slower corners on the course. You probably, as little runoff room as you have, and you can see Burkhardt very, very loose. He maybe has some damage to that car or maybe he's just trying to get more heat into the tires coming out of turn 11. But as little runoff as there is in the majority of the way around this Watkins Glen course, there is probably less than anywhere else coming out of turn 9. And again, very difficult corner if you turn in early to have the rear end slide out. Oh, and look at this, our former leader, that was the number 37, Tyler Campbell. He goes off going up through the S's, and he is now retired to the pit lane. It looks like Zach Burke, and it looks like, oh, that's Greg Mack. Let's take a look. We've got the replay here. Tyler Campbell now making his way as he goes through the 90 and starts to make his way up through the S's. He's coming up on some slower traffic. Oh, and just nowhere to go there, as looks like one of our drivers that had finally made his way out of the pit lane, and I think that was the 14 of Reed Shannabrook, the green and white machine that our leader Campbell gets into the back of, and it looks like now Tyler Campbell, it all turns for naught. His day now done. Our new leader, Zach Burke, with Caleb Patry in the number 98 machine, very close behind with Jamison Huffman, about 10 car lengths back, along with Giancarlo Schooler and Murphy Nichols, all three of them in a row. But it is now a two-car battle for the lead very early on in this race. Only 5 minutes in, Tim, this 20-minute sprint, and we're seeing no shortage of incidents here, as it looks like we've got another car.
We have, yeah, that was Burkhardt and Brandon Abbott coming together there, coming out of tow, and you can see from the state of his car there, that's a complete write-off. Obviously, our drivers have one fast repair to get themselves up and running again, but after that first lap, it be a major incident through the S's. A lot of the drivers are already burnt through that, so we're going to see quite a few retirements, as I believe we've got a replay coming up of exactly what happened between Burkhardt and Abbott. So here we go, as they're coming through tow up the hill. Was it Burkhardt just lost it? He looks a little bit squirrely there, and onto the grass. There you go.
Yeah.
And
And Burkhardt, we saw how loose Burkhardt was the previous lap coming out of turn 9 and then through turn 11. Maybe not just cold tires, but definitely a very loose handling car there, maybe trimmed out for speed, and he comes right across the track into the 26 of Brandon Abbott. Very unfortunate there, as we jump back now to the battle for the lead here. Caleb Patry and Zach Burke. These two drivers were in lockstep a week ago at Road America, and they are now trying to make their way through traffic here. Tim, I'm sure they didn't. Ooh, and Zach Burke just clears the back of the 700 machine.
Yeah, it was Effinger that's just trying to come past there and just completely nearly wipes out the front end of Effinger, but they both live to fight another day somehow, as the field streams past Effinger. It's creating a little bit of a mobile chicane right now.
All right, looks like Justin Craig in the 15 machine. Looks like he had some issues navigating the bus stop, the loop here at Watkins Glen. He's going to continue. He is currently sitting 13th. Now, again, I know we don't have the our normal timing tower up on the screen here as we watch our top 5 cars make their way through. Let's go and reset the field, because we've had a lot of action in the first couple laps here. Caleb Patry, currently your leader, with Zach Burke trailing only a couple of feet back behind. They're coming onto the about midway down the front straight right now. Then we've got Huffman, Nichols, Schooler running 3rd, 4th, 5th. Oh, and going down into the 90 into turn 1. Looks like Zach Burke trying to make a move on Patry. See if he makes it stick as they come out. Looks like Patry's going to hold him off. All right, so then after Schooler, running in 6th, we've got Andrew Abbott with John Wilson running 7th. Kalen Crocker, new driver to the series, he is running in 8th. Austin Knight has, after that very early, and there's Austin running all by his lonesome after that early spin to the race off. He has worked his way back up into 9th now. And then Russ Lundberg, Russ started, I think at the tail end of the field, started 31st, Tim. He is definitely our hard charger. He has made up 21 positions. He is sitting in 10th place right now. I guess it pays to be cautious and to be careful here. Ooh, as Zach Burke has gotten around Caleb Patry, and you saw there coming on the entrance to the boot going into turn 7 there, as Caleb Patry gets a little loose, trying to sneak up underneath the gearbox of Zach Burke.
So something has happened to Huffman off camera, and it's headed to the pits. And another driver to feel the wrath of the mighty Glen.
All right, I think we do have a replay of Huffman, and what happened there is he was on board. He was the lead car in this group. He had Murphy Nichols right behind him, and then Carlos Schooler pops over the curbing. Just pops over the curbing, coming through the bus stop, and runs off into the wall. You also see there the 78 machine had issues as well. The 78 machine, that was John Casey, and he, much like Huffman, has taken to the pits as we're now not even halfway. And Tim, this is not exactly how I thought things were going to play out this evening. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
No, we need to be filled full of action, and one to remember is it always is a Watkins Glen, but maybe not for quite this reason, with approximately over 50% of the field already visiting the pits at one stage or another. But he said some real hard charges. Wayne Buttermore, he's up 18 places. Gary Winters up 19 as well. So there's been some real big gainers out of all the action where they've managed to stay out of trouble and pick their way through the field and the carnage in front of them.
Yeah, and that, again, that's the key here, is to be careful, keep yourself out of trouble, and you can advance through the field. As we're on board right now, taking a look at Giancarlo Schooler, driver of the number 11 machine. He just got past Murphy Nichols in the number 5, and it's interesting, Tim. Giancarlo Schooler, he many times, and I think it's just a game for him. And Giancarlo, much like Murphy, much like Jamison Huffman and Morgan Burkhardt, are only around 15, 16 years old. Many times we see Giancarlo sit out of qualifying and start from the rear of the pack as if there was some hard charger award, which there is not in the Esports Racing League. But tonight he started, I think, in a position more commensurate with his skills. Started, I believe, in 8th position, and he has now moved up into. He is sitting at the tail end of the podium now, sitting in 3rd, trying to hold off Murphy Nichols. But great battle.
Lewis has just managed to get past Winters as well. Something's happened to Winters,
yeah,
and
looks
that's
like,
why.
Yeah, he got high-sided over there. That was Gary Winters, as you mentioned, in the 0-2 machine, and he was high-sided on the curbing there. It looked like on the outside of the toe of the boot, over by turn 7, and he takes that car back to the pits. He takes the long toe. Kind of unfortunate there. As we jump back now to the battle for the lead, Zach Burke, as you mentioned, our lone Canadian in the field, didn't have to come down all that far south from Ontario to make it to Watkins Glen, and right behind him, Caleb Patry in the number 98 machine. The two of them, they're having a great little battle here throughout this race, and again, they were in lockstep a week ago at Road America, and I think if we remember correctly, Patry took the win. Zach Burke had fallen back into 4th position, but they had been battling for the lead for a good portion of that 20-minute race, and you can see now as they come through the toe of the boot and make that run, that quick run up the hill, they'll drop back down towards the heel here in just a moment, but the 98 machine gets a great run out of that corner, but I think we may see that Burke has that number 13 machine maybe trimmed out a little bit more. He's got a little bit more straight line speed, I think, Tim.
Yes, definitely, but that allows to come back during the corners. And I mean, last time around, lap time wise, there were only 0.07 of a second separating these two, also setting personal best lap times during the transition. We'll see what the difference is as they come across the line. Patry looking the far more of the aggressor right now, so across that bump that's on the start-finish straight and head down to the 90. Let's see if Patry elects to make a lunge early on, or no, it looks like he's going to hold it in reserve to get the run up through the S's and onto the back straight.
Yeah, of course, we saw Burke try to make that move early on in the race, was not able to make it work, and it looks like Patry was content to sit back behind, but you could see that great run that he got out of the S's there as he got a run on Zach Burke coming out of the 90, and they are now side by side heading down into turn 1. Patry to the inside, driver's right, Burke to the left. And now taking over the lead, Caleb Patry, driver of the number 98 machine here. That's going to drop Zach Burke now into 2nd, but still a lot of time left for these drivers. We've got just about 6 minutes, and at a little bit over under, 2 minutes per lap. We should have somewhere around 3, possibly 4 more laps here, as looks like both Giancarlo Schooler, Murphy Nichols start separate out just a little bit, as Murphy Nichols now has dropped about 2 car lengths off the back of the number 11 machine.
So a little bit further down the field, Andrew Abbott is becoming under attack and having a bit of a battle with John Wilson. But what that has allowed is Callum Croker is allowed to catch up to the back of those two and is now joining in the fight. So that's really starting to heart up. That's the battle for 5th place. Putting it out on track at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dennis, if we can switch over, there we go. There's the 25 machine as opposed to Brandon, which is the 26. And as you mentioned, we've got John Wilson, the blue number 82, that blue, orange, and white machine, and the number 20 of Kalen Crocker, who is running for the first time with us here tonight in the Ray Esports Racing League. And again, this is the battle for 5th. Andrew Abbott, he's picked up 6 positions since the start of the race. Crocker's picked up 9 since the start of the race. Wilson started 6th this evening. That is where he runs currently. And looks like a little bit further back. Looks like, well, actually, that is not Austin Knight. A little bit further back, I believe that's Reed Shannabrook after having gotten his car repaired. But we'll keep watching this battle here as Wilson starting to gain ground on the 25 machine. You know, the great thing here about Watkins Glen, again, the draft is incredibly powerful. Oh, and this is going to be, that is our leader, Zach Burke, and now our former leader, Zach Burke, as he went off track at the bus stop at the inner loop. And let's take a look at the replay here as Zach Burke drops back in the 4th as they come down the back straight here, set up for the inner loop. And under braking, they head in. And the 13 car, he gets onto the curbing at the first apex. You can see he locked it up almost immediately, Tim, and put the car off in the gravel there.
So a big thud with the tyre wall. That's not going to do the suspension any good, no. And it may well have bent his steering rack, which is going to cause steering issues, and also reduction in top speed potentially with that trip across the gravel. There's bound to be floor damage, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Burt gets on. It's going to bring him right into this battle between Abbott, Wilson, and Croker, who are all currently all over each other right now. So what was a 3-way battle for 5th is now going to become a 4-way battle for 4th.
Yeah, with Burke trying to make his way back through. And while that happened, or after that happened, you'll notice now as we're following them on track here, a swap in positions. And Giancarlo Schooler, who was running in 3rd before Zach Burke ran off, well, he's still running 3rd as Murphy Nichols leapfrogged him there in all of the action at the bus stop. Murphy Nichols, driver of the number 5 machine, he now moves up into 2nd position. Into 2nd place, he is about 4 seconds back now from Caleb Patry. Patry has really been able to cement that lead now over Nichols, Schooler, and the rest of the field, but it doesn't look like Schooler's ready to give up yet. He pokes a little bit to the inside there, coming down the back straight, not quite close enough to make the move, and he's going to drop back in line as they come through the inner loop here. And looks like Tim, oh, and here we go, look at this move. As Schooler pushes the car all the way down to the inside, he just shoves it right underneath number 5 machine, and that was one heck of a move there, Tim. And I didn't know you'd be able to throw the car down all the way to the apex and keep it on the curbing there, but somehow Giancarlo Schooler gets that done, and I don't think Murphy Nichols thought it could be done either.
It is possible. There's a lot of grip, and sometimes with these cars, because of the amount of downforce that they have, actually going quicker does actually aid with additional grip, where it's pushing the car down into the track surface. And Giancarlo Schooler showing Murphy Nichols exactly how it's done to get him up onto that 2nd step of the podium for now. But the question is, can he hold on to it? But with pace like this, your money has got to be on Schooler.
Yeah, I would at this point, as we now have just about 2 minutes remaining on the clock in this 20-minute race. Let's quickly reset the field for you. Caleb Patry, he is your leader currently in the number 98 machine. We've got Giancarlo Schooler, as we just mentioned, running in 2nd. Murphy Nichols running in 3rd. Then we've got Zach Burke, who is now sitting 4th. Andrew Abbott, the number 25 machine, he is running in 5th. He's made up 6 positions since the start of the race. John Wilson, first timer here tonight in the Race Sports Racing League in the 82 machine. He is running in 6th. Kalen Crocker, Austin Knight, Justin Craig, and Andrew Lewis, another first timer, rounding out your top 10 as we're on board right now with the number 15 machine. This is Justin Craig running in 9th, and Andrew Lewis in that green-white number 6, currently running in 10th position here, and very, very close. When they cross the stripe, there will only be about a minute left on the clock, so we're going to have to track and see where our leader is.
Greg, sorry to cut across you, but into the bus stop, Nichols has managed to make his way past Schooler to get himself back up into that 2nd place. And as you say, with the white flag flying and us onto the last lap, Schooler is fast running out of time and is running out of overtaking opportunities. And looks like potentially, just with a few defensive moves, Nichols could well hold on to this 2nd place.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. Great move as Murphy Nichols returns the favor on Giancarlo Schooler coming out of the bus stop. But now Schooler pokes to the inside, going into the heel of the boot, thinks better of it, gets back in line. He is running out of time now as we've got just about 20 seconds left on the clock, and it's all going to come down to where our leader, Caleb Patry, is on track as he now makes his way through turn 10 with about 9 seconds remaining. And I think we may get possibly one more lap here. It's going to be close as Caleb Patry, he comes out of turn 11, and no, the time expires as Caleb Patry crosses the stripe. He is going to finish 2nd tonight, and in the race to the line, Murphy Nichols, margin of victory, 0.07 of a second over Giancarlo Schooler. Schooler's going to finish in 3rd. Zach Burke, with that unfortunate spin at the bus stop just 2 laps ago, he's going to come home in 4th position for the 2nd week in a row. Andrew Abbott will finish in 5th. Then we've got John Wilson finishing in 6th. Austin Knight will move all the way up into 7th after that very unfortunate spin on the opening lap. Actually, I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched, as they say here in the States. Tim, there he is. There is Austin Knight as he crosses the stripe. He is going to finish in 7th. Then we've got Andrew Lewis, who manages to get around the 15 of Justin Craig on the last lap. So move the 6th machine up into 8th position. Justin Craig will finish in 9th, and Ryan Carter, there we go, in the blue and white number 21, will finish in 10th. And just out of the top 10, Wayne Buttermore finishes 21st. And I think a lot of that, we saw that we had one car once again off on the curbing, or actually not off on the curbing, but off in the Armco on the outside of turn 9. And I think that driver was Kellen Crocker, who had been running up in that pack in that 8th, 9th, and 10th group there. And so he drops back. Now just crossing the stripe, we see Tyler Campbell, who had been leading this race. Campbell is going to come home in 12th. John Vogel will come home in 13th. And then we've got, there we go, Brandon Abbott in the number 26 machine, who had that incident early on as well. A lot of drivers had incidents early on as well. All right, so Tim, what we're going to do, we've got a couple of drivers lined up in the green room here. We're going to bring some of them in and talk to them here for a moment. Let's bring in our top 2 finishers tonight in RE2. We're going to start off with Murphy Nichols, driver of the number 5 machine.
Hello, Murphy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Well, that was an absolutely blinding move on the last lap to overtake Schooler coming into the bus stop. I didn't feel like that was literally your best overtaking opportunity coming into that last lap.
Yeah, I think especially with a track like this, like that's easily the most common overtaking spot. So with the kind of run that you can get, especially in a car like this where draft is very dependent, I thought it was definitely my best spot. But even if I did not get him there, I think there probably could have been 1, maybe 2 more spots. I don't know what corner it is, but coming up after the sharp right-hander where it kind of dips down, like coming up that hill, I think I probably could have gotten him there, or maybe to the line, but I know it was close for him getting me at the line, so I don't know if I would have been able to do the same.
So obviously after you made the move into the bus stop, it was then basically a case of defending your position all the way to the line. Did you ever feel any threat from Schooler at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the last lap, like all the pressure starts to seep in, like you start to think like, man, I could finish here, but at the same time, like anything can go wrong. But as a racer, you just kind of got to put that behind you and focus on what's in front of you, not really what's behind you. Because if you mirror watch too much, which is what a lot of drivers will tend to do, that is when a lot of mistakes come, because they get so worried about what's behind them, they don't focus on what's in front of them. So yeah, it does definitely become a very defensive battle at that point.
No worries. And obviously, the opening lap saw a lot of chaos. Obviously, you were able to keep your nose clean, as we'd say in England, and pick your way through the fields and came up 8 places. What was it like trying to pick your way through all the chaos that was ensuing?
It was definitely chaotic at the start, but I think I know, I'm gonna say I expected it, but I kind of had a feeling that that's how it was going to be, because I know, and that's nothing against this league, but just iRacing as a whole, that's how a lot of these races tend to go. There always tends to be that lap 1 carnage, especially at a track like Watkins Glen. But I mean, I knew I had pace here, I knew I had speed, so it was just a matter of picking off people safely and working my way up to the field until I eventually caught the train, where it just became a battle of survival with attrition from other drivers.
Brilliant. And anyone you want to give a shout out at all, Murphy?
Definitely all the All Sports guys, Jameson, JC, Caleb, Tyler, Morgan, all those guys are fantastic. You guys are putting on a great broadcast, and my family for always being there for me, I guess.
Brilliant. That's Murphy Nichols, who came home second today here at Watkins Glen. Now we'll have I think the next best person to have a little chat to.
That's
Greg
right.
would be
Yeah.
our
Yeah, I was going to say, let's bring in our winner tonight, Caleb Patry, driver of the 98 machine.
Caleb, it was, wow, what a race between yourself and Zach Burke for so long. It seemed like you were very evenly matched between the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, that whole race, it seemed like my car was getting a little bit of an arrow push in the corners, but on the straights, I was able to pull back up because of the draft. But yeah, I mean, we were pretty even there for the most part, and I don't know. I mean, we kind of discussed this beforehand as a team, and we kind of came to the conclusion that this would be a race of attrition, and the goal would to be just survive. So eventually, it was just us two, and we kind of went back and forth a bit, and then going as I went through the bus stop, I didn't really see him anymore. So after that, it was just kind of turning laps.
And did that really ease off the pressure for yourself of when you saw that Zach was no longer there? He took a bit too much of the curb on the entry to the bus stop and purchased himself in the process a one-way ticket to the barrier. He managed and had a little bit of damage, but managed to bring it home in 4th. But in terms of your position, did it feel like the pressure was completely off then, or you still had it in your mind with so much lap traffic as well that potentially you might run into some issues with them?
I mean, I did breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief when I saw that he went off, but I try not to think too much about it. There was still time left on the clock, still laps left to run, and there were still people behind me, and I knew pretty much anything can happen. So I just tried to keep my head down and turn lap, and thankfully it all worked out.
Brilliant. We're seeing out on screen at the moment the start, and you were trying to almost go 4 wide at one stage. You ended up nearly being pretty much 3 wide into the bus stop on the first corner. What was going through your mind then? Because it must have been a really crazy position to be into.
Yeah, I mean, this track is so wide, and the first couple of turns, especially at the start, is kind of just a draft fest. You got people drafting off each other, so I just was just trying to position my car into clear air in case things kind of got messy around me. And yeah, I didn't really want to go 3 wide or be side by side with anybody, especially through the bus stops. So it got a little bit sketchy, but thankfully we kept our noses clean for that first lap and ran good the rest of the way.
Brilliant. And is there anyone you want to give a shout out at all, Caleb?
Certainly Steve Ray and the other admins for putting on this league. Team All Sports for their support as well. And yeah, I think that's it.
No problem at all. That's Kelly Patry, who was your race victor here today at Watkins Glen.
All right, there you go. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get things set up for race number 2. Again, if you love the action that you just saw here tonight in the RE2s, we've got 20 minutes more of it in the Mazda MX-5s. And if you like what you've seen here tonight, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel and click on that notification bell to find out when we've got motorsports, virtual motorsports happening here, not just in the United States, but seemingly around the world 24/7 on Apex Racing TV. You'll be glad you did. You can also find out all about Apex Racing on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Just search for Apex Racing TV, all one word, and you'll be able to, again, get all the latest and greatest information. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will join in progress qualifying for the Mazda MX-5s. You're watching Season 4 of the Esports Racing League, and we'll be right back.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
All right, and welcome back to Watkins Glen International for week 2 of season 4 of the Ray Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Tim Cox here in the commentary booth this evening. And of course, we've got Dennis Branch manning the controls for us. We want to thank Dennis on what is turning out to be a very challenging evening here from Watkins Glen. Just to recap the race you just saw, Caleb Patry taking the win for race 2, round 2 of the RE2 series. Murphy Nichols finishing second, Giancarlo Schooler finishing on the last step of the podium, with Zach Burke and Andrew Abbott finishing 4th and 5th respectively. And we are about 11, almost 12 minutes into this 15-minute qualifying session for the Mazda MX-5, so you see on track right now. Let me quickly give you a rundown of where we stand here in the order. Jamison Huffman is your provisional pole sitter, fast time of a 209.10. Kevin Langer, who is another new driver to the series, he is currently second fastest in the number 17 machine, and actually now he's third fastest, but just he's sitting on a fast time of a 208.24. Morgan Burkhardt just now goes to provisional pole with a 207.96, so about a 10th clear of the rest of the field. Zach Burke, our 4th fastest driver, seems like he's perpetually in 4th. Zach Burke in the number 13 machine, 208.35. Greg Mack, his teammate in the Esport Racer number 2 entry, he is sitting 5th fastest, with Brennan Horn, another Esport Racer driver, sitting 6th. Reed Shannabrook 7th. Lyle Zyra 8th. Then we've got Michael Keltner and Wanchi Lin joining us here tonight, sitting in 10th. Very quickly, as we've got just a couple of seconds here, I wanted to look back a week. Of course, the Mazda MX-5's day did not race at Watkins Glen a week ago, but the Spec Racer Fords that are taking the week off did, taking the win. In Spec Racer Ford was Morgan Burkhardt, with Caleb Patry, who we spoke just a few moments ago, 1.4 seconds back in second. Then Zach Burke finishing third, and John Vogel finishing in 4th. And kind of unfortunate for Zach Burke, he was actually leading this race going into the very last lap, was side by side with Morgan Burkhardt, Tim, going into the carousel with Zach Burke on the outside. And as I'm sure you can imagine, just got into the marbles out there. The rear end of that Spec Racer Ford just came around on him. He ended up in the gravel trap momentarily, was able to recover, but was only able to make his way home in 4th place, giving Burkhardt, as I mentioned, the win there. But that was an amazing race in Spec Racer Ford between our top 4 drivers. Burkhardt, Patry, Burke, and also John Vogel was part of that party as well. As we're on board right now, taking a look at the 97 machine here at Watkins Glen International. Pardon me, that's the 87, not the 97. Looks like I need to get my prescription changed with the glasses there. That's Lyle Zyra, and there is the announcer's curse for you as Zyra goes off at the interloop. Actually, that was the 30 machine that went off. That was Wanchi Lin that went off coming through the bus stop. But that's what happens when we turn the eyes to them, Tim.
It is, as you say, the cast of the commentator strikes again. We always seem to have a natural gift for being able to do that. It's a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, we certainly do, as we're watching on. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's listed as Siraj Pradhan, but I'm fairly confident that this is actually Austin Knight in the yellow number 75 machine that we're watching on screen. Oh, that is actually Siraj Pradhan. Oh, yep, you're right. Austin Knight is That's right, Suraj Pradhan. That's right, Suraj Pradhan. He raced with us in season 1 of the Ray Esports Racing League in the number 75 machine, and he is joining us again here tonight for what is looking to be a rather large field. I think we had 31 drivers in the RE2s. We've got 32 that have come. Well, we may have less than 32 now. Here, pretty big wreck here in qualifying. Looks like the 26 machine involved. Let's see, number of drivers involved. They're going into the bus stop. Of course, luckily for them, it happened during qualifying. They'll be able to come out for the race as the checkered flag is out on the qualifying session. So let's quickly take a look here. Is Burkhard Huffman, your two fastest drivers, separation between those two drivers about 0.2 of a second. Looking at actually a little bit more than that, actually about 21 hundredths of a second. Kevin Langer, third fastest, Zach Burke and Brennan Horan. But we'll run down the starting grid here in just a few moments, and I've got Austin Knight laughing at me, given my little mistake there. And I'm getting word. We talked about Austin Knight, Tim, having spun out before the green flag ever came out in that last race. Actually, it wasn't Austin Knight. He started from the pit lane in the RE2s, and we've gotten word that he's probably going to do that again as he tries to avoid all of the carnage on the front straight. It was actually, I guess, it turned out to be a pretty brilliant idea there in race number 1. We'll see if it works out for him in race number 2 as well.
It was definitely an inspired move, and also which is where he was a little bit further behind the pack. As we saw everything kicking off in the S's, he was able to negotiate his way through and pick his way through all the carnage and the bits of bodywork that was strewn across the track, and had a really strong finish in the end. And Knight clearly looking to employ similar tactics here in the MX-5 race.
All right, so as we track here, and we've got our drivers, they're finishing up, taking their cool-down laps here in qualifying, and we should have them starting to grid up in just a few moments. But before we do, let's talk about another one of our great sponsors here in the Ray Esports Racing League, and sponsoring the MX-5 races this season is RaceVoice. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics, which are selected and configured by you, the driver. To find out more about their products, head to racevoice.com. Go faster with the speed of voice. All right, so we've got our drivers, and they should be lining up here in just a few moments. I swear it looks like that Watkins Glen International sign is just floating in the air right in front of us. And here we go. We've got our starting grid. And here, I'll take this one, Tim. And we'll start off with your pole sitter today in Mazda MX-5s. It is Morgan Burkhard from the All Sports Racing team. He's got his teammate, driver the number 89 machine, starting on the outside of row number 1, and that's Jamison Huffman. Kevin Langer, the number 17 car, again new to the series tonight, and he will start on the inside of row number 2. Zach Burke will start beside him in 4th. Brennan Horan and Greg Mack, the 45 car and the 2 car, they make up row number 3. Reed Shannabrook will start 7th with Lyle Zyra in that 87 machine. He will start 8th. Michael Keltner will start 9th with Wan Chi Lin in the number 30 machine, starting in 10th. Murphy Nichols, who finished on the podium just a few moments ago in our RE2 race, he will start on the inside of row number 6 with Lewis Lockshine, another new driver with us here this evening in the 124 car. He will start 12th. Jeff Barlow in the number 34 entry. He will start 13th with Kyle Vallejos in the number 35 car, starting in 14th. Michael San Inocencio will start 15th in the number 77 entry. And here's a bit of a surprise for me. And, this may come down to long interviews, Tim. Caleb Patry in the number 198 machine, our winner from the first race this evening. He's going to be starting all the way back in 16th. We're definitely going to want to watch him and see if he can make his way up through the field. Greg Brockway in the number 62 car. He will start 17th with Sean Hayes. And I think Sean used to be a Formula V racer at one point in the SCCA. He's going to be starting 18th in the number 94 car. Remy L'Esperance in the number 013 entry. He will be starting 19th. Starting in 20th, not Austin Knight, but Suraj Pradhan in the number 75 car. But oddly enough, starting 21st, Right the row behind will be Austin Knight in the number 210 car, with Andrew Lewis driving the number 26 entry right beside him in 22nd. Then we've got Dan Castellania, another new driver with us tonight. He's going to start 22nd in the 33 car with Justin Huffman. That's Jamison's father in the 223 Mazda MX-5. He'll start 23rd. Then we've got Peter Rolfe and Ryan Carter. They're starting 24th and 25th. Andre Jamison and Gary Winters, they will start 26th and 27th. Derek Marcos, another SCCA club racer I believe in the STL class. He will start and driving a Honda typically. He's going to be driving the number 66 machine. He starts 28th with John Casey starting next to him in 29th. Derek Marcos will be starting next to Winters. Then we've got John Casey and Wayne Buttermore, the 78 machine and the 73 machine. They'll be starting 29th and 30th. And then we've got Joaquin Effinger. He'll start 30th. And you know, I mentioned that Austin Knight was going to be starting, I believe, in 20th or 21st position. As we said, he's going to be starting from the pit lane. And that is where he is currently residing. So, Tim, I guess we'll have to see here tonight with just as large a field if perhaps these drivers perhaps are maybe a little bit more cautious than in the RE2s. But obviously the dynamics of these cars are a little bit different than the Formula cars, although it still takes a little bit of time for them to get the heat in the tires here.
It definitely does. And the Mazda's always the classic car on the iRacing service. It's what you start off in. Obviously, I know they've brought along the Formula V recently, but it's the classic, quintessential rookie car. But it takes a lot to master it, and like you say, not having the suspension elements exposed like we have on the FE2 cars, it does allow for a bit more bodily contact, shall we say, between the drivers. However, that means I'm sure that they'll be banging doors all the way through the S's and down the back straight as they all fight for the same inch of tarmac and try and get one up on their competitors around them.
Yeah, and of course, you know, one of the key, I would call it a feature of the MX-5s is they really are not very aerodynamic, whether they had roofs on them or not, and they put a very big hole in the air. The draft is definitely king here with the Mazda MX-5s, and we'll have to see what happens when they come up through the S's, and you will inevitably find drivers perhaps making up a little bit more ground than they expect going up through there. And you know, one of our races in the Ray Esports Racing League here at Watkins Glen last season, Tim, we had 3 cars wide on the very last lap going into the bus stop. We had 3 cars side by side coming out of the bus stop. I still don't know how it happened, but we should definitely be watching for some very close action here as the pace car brings the field out of turn 9. Again, Morgan Burkhardt in the number 40 machine. He is your pole sitter. You see him there on your left. Jamison Huffman in the 89. He will start on the outside of row number 1. Then Kevin Langer and Zach Burke starting 3rd and 4th. Brennan Horan and Greg Mack starting 5th and 6th. Those are your front 3 rows as the pace car brings the field through turn 11 and makes that sharp cut into the pit lane. Morgan Burkhardt now has the field, and the green flag is in the air. We are racing once again here from Watkins Glen, and you can see here, Tim, is the field. They spread out 5 wide in some cases here. It looks like the 124 car, Lockshine, went all the way out into the grass as they head down into the 90, and you see there a little bit of brake lockup from Morgan Burkhardt as he takes the field through turn 1 for the very first time. Jamison Huffman sliding in behind Zach Burke, making up a position on Kevin Langer. Langer is going to drop down into 4th, and he's under attack now by Greg Mack as Mack now gets around Langer as they come through the top of the S's, but it is by no means done there. You can see Reed Shannabrook in that green machine. He is now trying to come all the way up the inside. Let's see if he can make a move going into the bus stop as he's now 3 wide with Mack and Langer as they go through the bus stop the first time, and Morgan Burkhardt opening up a good little lead there of about 3 car lengths over Zach Burke, who now moves up in the 2nd position. He gets around Jamison Huffman and Greg Mack, with Kevin Langer sitting in 4th and Reed Shannabrook as I think, knock on wood, Tim, I think our field made it through the bus stop successfully for the first time as they're now coming down through the chute and heading down towards the boot for the very first time.
Yeah, a complete chalk and cheese type of races. everyone seemed to have got through those first opening corners unscathed, in complete contrast to the previous race, although Austin Knight is somewhere had a bit of an issue despite starting from the pit, so he'll be ruining that mistake definitely. As right now, Shanabrook definitely the man on the attack and trying to make moves there over Haran, isn't it? I think that's alongside him.
That is right. That's the 45 beside him, but now getting. Yeah, I was going to say we said that we wanted to watch and see what Caleb Patry would do, as he was starting all the way back in 16th position. Well, we can tell you he has now made up 10 positions, and we're not even done with lap 1. He's gotten around both Horan and Shanabrook, who are now side by side as they come out of turn 10. The green number 14 to the inside, running Horan in that gray and black Esport racer machine. Now is going to settle in right behind, but look at this, Murphy Nichols, who also started off a little bit further from the pack. It's a great run out of the final corner as they make their way down in towards turn number 1. This is the battle for 7th position here, as Murphy Nichols, he's going to push Horan wide, and we'll see if he can pick up the spot. That move not done yet as they head into the S's, Tim, but real tight racing here at the front of the field. And I think, speaking of tight racing, Morgan Burkhardt, who had started to walk away from the rest of the field, here's the effect of the draft at Watkins Glen, as Zach Burke and Jamison Huffman are now drafted right back up to Burkhardt, as Huffman's going to try and come underneath our leader going into the bus stop. Can't get up to our leader, but he does get around Zach Burke heading through the bus stop chicane and out onto the outer loop. So the two teammates, the two all-sport racer teammates, now running first and second.
As you mentioned, everyone trying to tuck up behind one another. At least the car in front is definitely like a house brick in terms of its aerodynamic efficiency, as we've just got a replay now of actually Lynn, I think. Let's see what's happened to him.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, this is live. Apologies, and it's getting tight in the midfield there.
That is right. So we're watching, there's Wanshi Lin in that orange and white number 30 car side by side right now with the 124 of Lewis Lockshine. Both drivers have lost a number of positions in the first 2 laps. Wanshi Lin losing 6, Lockshine losing 5. But you can see here as we're still nose to tail, as now it looks like just ahead of Wanshi Lin, the number 77 machine of Michael San Inocencio. He gets around Sean Hayes. Wanshi Lin gets around Hayes as well. Well, maybe he hasn't gotten clear of him yet, as they're all side by side now, coming up towards turn 9. And Lin is all the way to the outside, pushed wide, but a lot of traffic there in the mid-pack, but a lot of clean running. Tim, we talked about how, maybe the presence of the fenders and the steel on these Mazda MX-5s may allow the drivers to get their shoulders out, but so far, and I don't want to ruin anything here, but we're seeing a lot of clean running from these MX-5 drivers.
We are indeed. The only casualty so far is Austin Knight, who tried to play it safe by starting from the pits, and that tactic hasn't quite worked out for him, as it's getting very, very tight there, as everyone all of a sudden starts to kick off there down into the 90.
Yeah, as everybody say, Greg, what are you talking about here? I think we're just going to start beating and banging, and that started off as Zach Burke and Morgan Burkhardt got together coming out of the 90. Then right back behind, we had Jamison Huffman and Greg Mack get together. Mack now has moved up into 3rd position as they come down into the bus stop, and you can see there to the inside, the 17 machine of Kevin Langer trying to make up for lost time and lost positions. But look who he's behind here, Tim. He's right behind the 198 of Caleb Patry. Again, Patry started in 16th position, and here on lap number 2, Caleb Patry is now running in 4th position, right behind Greg Mack in that black and white number 198 machine, and he certainly seems to be pushing the pace on the number 2 machine, as both Burkhardt and Burke, they start to separate themselves out, but a lot of close running, and you can see here, running all the way back through the field, basically 20 cars deep, no more than 1, maybe 2 car lengths separating them, and as they come up onto some of these straightaways here, I think we're going to see the field kind of compress up once again. Great racing here tonight so far, as we are just about 6 minutes into this 20-minute race. Let's quickly run down the field here. Burkhardt, Burke, Mack, Patry, Langer, Huffman, Shanabrook, Horan, Nichols, and Zyra, your top 10. Then we've got Vallejos, Keltner, Barlow, San Inocencio, Lockshine, Wanshi Lin, Remy L'Esperance, who's sitting back in 17th. Sean Hayes in the yellow number 94, sitting in 18th. Peter Rolfe and Greg Brockway your top 20. But at this point, it's pretty much a 20-car battle for the lead, I think, at this point here, Tim.
It is. It's incredibly close, as we said it would be, but hats off to Caleb Petrie, who set up 12 places, and last time around set the fastest lap of the race so far, and also the first driver into the 207s with a 207.98.
Yeah, definitely carrying the pace faster than the other drivers on track currently. As looks like we've got another little breakaway here at the front of the field. It's Morgan Burkhardt, who worked his way back up from 4th position, where he had found himself after that little bit of argy-bargy going through the 90 that last lap, and he is side by side with Zach Burke. Burke has position, has the inside on driver's right going down into the bus stop. It's going to be a question of who gets on the brakes later, and Zach Burke much later on the brakes than Morgan Burkhardt. He's going to lead the field through the bus stop. Burkhardt drops into 2nd place. Caleb Patry now gets around Greg Mack. He is now sitting up in 3rd position. Mack 4th. Jamison Huffman falls back to 5th position. Kevin Langer sitting in 6th, and Reed Shannabrook. But again, all in a row. But again, the man on the move, the man to watch, the number 198 machine of Caleb Patry.
Caleb Patry, currently the perennial hot knife through butter, as he's been carving through the field. The 2 laps, made up 12 places and made light work of Greg Mack into the bus stop while we were just watching that battle between Burke and Bernhardt. And the way that Patry is closing in on Burkhardt, he's looking vulnerable. You feel it's only time before Patry makes his way past Burkhardt.
Yeah, I definitely think he is, and definitely vulnerable here as we're watching a battle a little bit further back in the field. It is the 87 of Lyle Zyra and Kyle Vallejos in the number 35. This is the battle for 10th right now. Great car control from those 2 drivers as they were going through the boot, but now dropping a wheel right behind them is Murphy Nichols. Nichols sitting right ahead of that field in the number 5 car. He's sitting in 9th position. He's made up 2 positions so far, but I think some of these drivers, Nichols, who started a little bit further back in the field, we talked about Austin Knight, who started from the pit lane. Some of these drivers finding some challenges making their way up through the field, and I think Austin Knight in particular may have had some issues, or showing him as still being on the pit lane. It looks like he may have had some issues on track, as we're now tracking a little bit further back in the pack. This is Jeff Barlow leading Michael Sananencio, Wan Shi Lin, Louis Lockshine, Remy L'Esperance in the purple and white number 013, and Sean Hayes at the tail end of that pack. But as things are maybe now starting to separate out, Tim, again, when you have a large field like this, you still have a lot of great racing, whether it's for the lead or whether it's for 10th position.
Disappointing from Yang Ji Lin at the moment. I'm telling you, another series that he's involved in here on Apex Racing TV, and incredibly strong in the Ford Spec Racer, but not able to convert it tonight, it seems, into the Mazda MX-5.
Yeah, indeed, and he races with us in the Esports Racing League in the Spec Racer Fords as well, and took a couple of wins last season, but as you said, maybe not converting it here to what is possible with the MX-5s, as we've got Zach Burke now leading the field up through turn 7. Heavily cambered corner, very steep uphill. The camera views just don't do it justice about how high a rise that is. And then as you go down the sole of the boot, as you rise up, you almost quickly then drop back down into turn 8. And each one of these corners, again, very heavily cambered, as we now have Murphy Nichols side by side now going into 8 with the 87 of Lyle Zyra. And looks like Nichols is going to sneak underneath Zyra's 87 and get the move done as they come through turn 9, and sitting right back behind them, that is now Michael Keltner in the red, white, and blue, and it looks like Alpine liveried number 6 machine there, now all over the back of Zyra as well. And ooh, as the 87 Zyra got very close to the tire barriers there.
I think it looks like he's potentially making a move, but it's all happening behind him. Battles up and down the field here, Greg, and it's hard to know where to look, really, to try and bring you up to date with all the action that's happening. You just see the number 30 coming heavily under attack and just losing a place there. Ooh.
That was the 30. Yeah. That was Jeff Barlow in the number 34 car with Wan Lin coming through the 90, getting together, and looks like Barlow's going to take his car back to the pits. Again, our drivers, they do get one fast repair, but we'll see what kind of repair gets done to that MX-5 as we jump back now to the front of the field. Morgan Burkhardt, Zach Burke, Caleb Patry, and you can see things starting to compress at the front of the field here, Tim, as both Burkhardt and Burke and Patry to some extent had really separated themselves out from the front of the field, but you can see now they've got a lot of hangers on. They've got Jamison Huffman, Greg Mack, that black number 17, pardon me, of Langer, as well as Shannabrook and Brennan Horan, all in that lead pack here, and very tightly compressed as they come through turn 7. That again, the draft really comes into a strong effect here at the Glen. And now coming down to the inside, coming down the sole of the boot, heading into turn 8, Zach Burke. He's got position. If he can hold Burkhardt out, Burke takes to the apex curbing just a little bit. That curbing raised up just a little bit, might have unsettled the car just a little bit, but Burkhardt able to keep up the pace from the outside. He's going to hold on to the position. Not only that, but Caleb Patry has the opportunity now to slide underneath. Burke does not get it done. He slides back in line as they come through turn 10. I think Tim Patry, he saw a little bit of a whiff of daylight there as Burkhardt got around or held off Burke coming through the boot, and just it closed up on him very quickly.
It did, but what's been really fascinating is that as Patry's been carving his way through the field, he's also brought them all along for the ride, and what was looking like a straight-out fight to the finish between Burkhardt and Burke, they've been battling. As you said, it's all the way down that lead group to position 8, which is Huron currently.
Yeah, so very, very tightly paced. We're a little bit further back now, taking a look once again. We've got Murphy Nichols currently sitting in 10th. Right behind him, Zyra and Keltner once again. And now Zyra and Keltner side by side coming up through the S's as Keltner in the 6 car. Let's see if he tries to use the number 5 to pull him along. And Keltner now, he's got position on the 87 as they go under braking into the bus stop. Can he get the move done? Oh, looks like Zyra was expecting maybe a little bit more pace through there from the 6 car here, Tim, and might have had to check up at the most inopportune of times as then a little bit further back. Great battle as well coming through the bus stop.
This has been going on. We've had another switch for the lead. Burke has got past Burkhardt yet again. So we just look further down the field of Lockshine, just under attack there from Aspirants there, but back out the front, it's getting tighter and tighter as the time goes on, and with just about 5.5 minutes left here, it's going to get, I potentially feel it's going to get a bit desperate. Here we go. And who's going to come out on top between Burkhardt and Burke, Greg?
All right, yeah, and this time Burke has the position going into turn 9. He is over on driver's left, and he's going to take the position back from Morgan Burkhardt. Patry just kind of sitting back there waiting, waiting for a spot. And I think Jamison Huffman in the 89 machine thinking along those same lines as our 2 leaders continue to swap positions. But as they do, each time they attempt to pass it backs up the rest of the field. And I think they're pretty close to having Kyle Vallejos join the party as well. And instead of maybe being an 8-car battle, soon enough it might be a 9-car battle. There you can see starting to close things in as they come down through the 90 once again. And it looks like our top 3 drivers might have a little bit more pace than, as you see, Patry really tagging along with both Burkhardt and Burke, and maybe Huffman a little bit off that pace, at least coming out of the final corner and going down the front straight. But I think as we come onto the back straight here, as now going side by side, we've got Burke and Burkhardt putting very big holes in the wind. And you can see as Jamison Huffman starts to close things down, as does Greg Mack, as they make the run down into the bus stop. And our new leader is Morgan Burkhardt. Zach Burke, he falls back into 2nd now, with Caleb Patry dropping into 3rd. But pretty amazing here as you watch these cars go 2 and 3 wide. And as they spread out, Tim, you know, obviously the hole punched in the air, much bigger when you have cars side by side. And, you know, the trailing cars, they make up so much ground under the draft when that happens.
As I said to you earlier, Greg, the aerodynamic efficiency of these Maserati 5s is the equivalent, the same of a house brick, really. And the drivers behind, like you say, are really able to close up. You saw Patry there, bump drafting Burkhardt along the back straight, pushing him along, almost egging him and Burkhardt to keep scrapping. It may be in the hope from Patry that they'll take each other out, and then he can have a clear run to the finish.
Oh, and look at this move as we had Greg Mack trying to come underneath Jamison Huffman in the battle for fourth. Reed Shanabrook saw some open air there and thought for a moment that he might be able to overtake both of those drivers. He's going to settle back into his position in sixth place. But things got a little hectic there for a moment behind Caleb Patry, but that also allowed our top three drivers, Burkhardt, Burke, and Caleb Patry, to separate themselves out again just a little bit from the number 89 car of Jamison Huffman. Huffman now about 3 car lengths back, as now Zach Burke goes down side by side with Morgan Burkhardt, the 13 on the inside, the 40 on the outside. And as they come through the 90, that's going to slow both of those drivers down. And you can see here, Tim, as Caleb Patry, he's trying to pick a car each and every time, and he's changed up between sticking with Burkhardt or sticking with Burke, and that time he sticks with Morgan Burkhardt, and he now finally moves up out of third into second position.
Greg.
Oh!
There's contact along the straight, and we've lost a 198. That was Caleb Patry.
Caleb Patry, he's off into the Armco, and we'll have to see who he got together with. I think he might have gotten together. Let's see, who else is here? We still have... I think it was Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. So Caleb Patry, who had... And let's take a look at the replay here, as Patry had just gotten around Zach Burke for second position. We'll watch him here as they're coming up through the S's, and he gets together with Zach Burke. They hit multiple times. Patry gets into Jamison Huffman before he loses control of the car and goes off driver's left. So wild ride for the 198 machine of Caleb Patry. And now it looks like Greg Mack has gone off. That is the chute. That is over at turn 6, making the run down into the boot. Greg Mack had been sitting in fourth position, and he is now falling through the field like a stone as well. And that has really opened things up here, Tim, with now only a minute remaining on the clock. Our new leader, Zach Burke, who's gotten around Morgan Burkhardt, he should get the white flag this time by.
Absolutely devastating there for Patry after carving his way through the field, starting in 16th, making his way provisionally up into second place before that incident. Now it's back all the way down to 14th, and it's now looking like a straight fight between Burke and Burkhardt for the win. But Shanbrook isn't too far behind, so don't discredit him in third place. Or equally, Haran and Langer in 4th and 5th, who are equally not far behind themselves. And this really could go anywhere as we head out onto the final lap.
And here we go, and the white flag is in the air. Your leader, Zach Burke, driver the number 13 Esport Racer machine, the number 40 of Morgan Burkhardt, the All-Sport Racing machine, running in second, and then about 3 car lengths back. That is the battle for third that we're following right there. You can see the green number 14. That is Reed Shanabrook with Brennan Horan in the Esport Racing number 45. He's the teammate of our current leader. And look at this now, side by side, making their way down to the bus stop. It's Burke to the inside. It's Burkhardt to the outside. Don't say that 3 times real fast, as they now come through the bus stop side by side. Shanabrook now trying to get into the party. He's going to try to sneak down underneath. Morgan Burkhardt gets into the grass just a little bit. You find here, Tim, that they can't stay down on that inside curbing like the RE2s could, but and Shanabrook gets together with Morgan Burkhardt going into turn 6. He's going to lose at least 1 position, it looks like, to the 45 car, but that allows the Burkhardt in the 40 machine to get back up into second position as Brennan Horan tries to take advantage of the spoils from Reed Shanabrook's outing there with the number 40 machine. But that battle for third is not done yet, and you can see right behind him we've got Langer and Huffman side by side as well. Lots of action here on the last lap, Tim.
See Shanabrook just trying to do his best to distract Haran. He's third, but now he's mounting an attack on Burkhardt as they come Now down into there's only 3 corners left for them, and this really could go anywhere. And I feel this is going to come right down to the line here, Greg.
It sure will. Here is Zach Burke. He leads Morgan Burkhardt and our third place runner now, Brennan Horn, through turn 10. Only one more corner to go, and it's a short run to the checkered flag. It's going to be hard to draft past here as Zach Burke leads the field out of the final corner as they make their way onto the front straight, taking the win tonight in the first MX5 race of season 4. It is Zach Burke. Morgan Burkhardt, he's going to hold on to second. Brennan Horn works his way all the way up into third position, starting 5th tonight. Reed Shanabrook, he's going to bring the number 14 car home in 4th. Kevin Langer, he will finish 5th. Jamison Huffman, I'm sure this is going to be a disappointment for him. Huffman, who started on the outside of the front row, finishes 6th tonight. Murphy Nichols, he will finish 7th. Lyle Zyra, he finishes 8th. Michael Keltner, 9th. Kyle Vallehouse will round out the top 10. We see there the purple, white, and blue number 013 of Remy Lesbrunce crossing the line. In 11th, Sean Hayes. Michael San Inocencio will finish 13th. Ryan Carter will finish 14th in the number 21 machine. Suraj Pradham in the 75, he will finish in 15th. Peter Rolfe will finish 16th. Greg Brockway, 17th. Caleb Patry. And you can only say that how unfortunate it is for Patry. He started 16th, was fighting for the lead, falls back to 18th tonight. That's where he will take the checkered flag. David Castellania will finish in 19th. Gary Winters in the 02 machine, he will finish in 20th. Whew, that was Tim, that was how shall I say this? Adrenaline filled?
Yeah, spicy.
Yes.
It was. Wow, we had a bit of everything, didn't we? Really, we had incidents, we had drama, we had thrills, we had disappointment for some of our drivers. But as you said, we've got to really feel for Caleb Patry after dragging his MX5 through the field all the way up to 2nd place at one stage. That's as high as he got before all mayhem broke loose coming out of the S's, and then to finish in 18th, 2 places lower than where he started. I think the man needs a hug, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I'm probably not going to be the one to hug him, but
well, yeah, or a stiff drink.
Yeah, that I can offer him up at the bar. Absolutely. All right, so Tim, let's do this. We've got now sitting in the green room here. Let's bring in our. We're going to start off with Brennan Horn, driver of the number 45 Esport Racer machine, finishing 3rd tonight.
Brennan, welcome along to the commentary booth. Obviously, just heading into that last couple of laps, obviously, where Caleb Patry had the collision. And what was it like being in the middle of all that happening?
Well, I just gotta say that was just such a clean race up front in the MX5s. My heart was beating super fast the whole time, but I was really comfortable racing with those guys, and it was just a ton of fun. I was just hanging out in the back of that pack, just waiting for my time to shine. And of course, Caleb had his incident. He went off wide, and I managed to make it through just fine, and then something happened with Mac, and at that point I was in P3, and my eyes were on P2, so it was fun.
I mean, did you ever feel like there was a chance to maybe nick that 2nd place from Burkhardt at all?
Yeah, that 3rd to last corner, that left-hander, that's a little bit off camber. I was hoping to get something out of it, but Morgan or whoever was in P2 was just the same pace as me there, and I didn't really have too much to give him there, and I was thinking about going up to the line, but I didn't get a good round of the final corner either. So P2 was kind of out of my reach, but I'm happy with P3. I'll take it.
Brilliant. Is anyone you want to give a shout out at all, Brennan?
Yeah, our sponsors, GB Consulting for the computing power, Esport Art for the great paints that we have, Team Esport Racer just for their support overall. It's just a great team. My family for their support, Ray and everybody at Ray Esports for putting this on, and you guys for their great broadcast.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's Brendan Horan, who came home 3rd and picked up that last place on the podium here at Watkins Glen.
All right, so Tim, next person I'm going to feed over to you is Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 All Sports Racer machine, finished second tonight in MX5.
Welcome along to the commentary booth, Morgan. Can you hear us okay?
Yep, we're good.
There we go. We've got you. Brilliant. Wow, it was really, really crazy out there. I mean, you constantly trading places with Zach Burke. I mean, how close did it feel like you could have nicked the victory off him potentially, or are you happy with second place?
Well, obviously I'm happy with second because it's a podium, but there's always that extra little bit in the bag. So a little bit annoyed I didn't get first, but I'm happy with second. And throughout the race, it was just I couldn't quite tell if we wanted to break away from the pack behind or just duke it out. And it was a little bit of both. And then going into the last few laps, I didn't want to lead, so I kind of gave it up to him. And he did a really nice hold through the inside of the bus stop.
Obviously, where you two guys were battling and Caleb Patry was coming through the pack like a man possessed and came up to third, were you a bit concerned where he'd made such progress so quickly and was just sat almost antagonizing both yourself and Burke out in front?
I could see him coming, and I knew he had pace going into this, but I wouldn't say it was really worrying because I know Zach and I were both really quite quick. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. He's quick, but I know him really well, so it's not too worried.
So you were never too worried about him at all then. So,
no, not really.
Brilliant. And is there anyone you want to give a shout out to at all, Morgan?
Well, I'd like to thank the Stevie Ray and Greg Hubler for setting up a great league. It's always a lot of fun. I'd like to thank my teammates, Caleb, Jamison, Murphy, all the rest of the guys. They put on a good show today.
Thank you very much. That's Morgan Burkhardt, who finished second today here at Watkins Glen.
All right, thanks so much, Morgan, for joining us. And looks like we're having a little trouble getting our winner, Zach Burke, in with us. So, Tim, I think we're going to wrap things up for the evening here. And want to remind everybody, of course, as we mentioned, this is week number 2. Week number 3 next week, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to be heading to Birmingham, Alabama, and Barber Motorsports Park. Certainly, Tim, I'm sure you can agree, a very different circuit than what we have here at Watkins Glen. Very difficult to pass, very difficult to carry speed. Your hands are seemingly always moving there. It's going to be a challenge for both our Spec Racer Ford racers who will be rejoining us here next week, as well as the MX-5s, the RE2 Formula Car racers. They will take the week off. They won't have to deal with Barber Motorsports Park, home of the Giant Spider. So as we do wrap things up, of course, we want to thank our great sponsors here, RaceVoice, Alliance Autosports, and Spec Racer Sports, as well as the Esports Driver Club, who's going to be providing that excellent driver award at the end of the season. I'm sure after watching our RE2 race, it's going to be a little hard for them to pick that racer out. Lots of incident points piled up there. And of course, I want to thank Tim Cox for joining us here tonight. Brian Donati, get well soon. So for Tim, for Dennis Branch, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next week here for Ray Esports Racing League on Apex Racing TV.